Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV's Sports Spotlight. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from some of our shows focused on all things sports in the DMV. Please be sure to give us a follow on all of our social platforms. First up on Legacy on Fire, watch as the crew breaks down the Giannis to Miami trade and more. On Ravens Verdict, check out the highlights and defensive focus insights on the Ravens mandatory minicamp. Lastly, on Washington Commanders Update, tune into the highlights and insights from day 1 and 2 of mandatory minicamp. Don't go anywhere, and as always, enjoy this week's episode of Bowie TV's Sports Spotlight.
Yeah, man. A solid, a busy week in sports. Just when we thought things would get, maybe slow it down, you would have thought, you know, this season is over. This is slow basketball season over. Basketball picking up full speed right now. There's a lot going on. And the free agency
All
is about to
season in
hit
full
here.
swing, man.
Yeah, free
Draft,
agency is
free
about to hit
agency.
here. We got trades happening. We're going to talk about those today. We got the NBA draft was just a day or so ago. We're going to talk about that today. We got a hot topic with the Commanders, what they should do a receiver. That's going to be a fun one. We got a what if that's going to really test some of you today. Where you feel on that what if. And then we got another superstar who is now, because of a certain trade we're going to talk about here in a second, is now the next big trade that could happen. So, James, we got a lot to get into here on episode 84, man. I'm pumped up about it. Well, let's go ahead and get it started with one sentence. James, I don't smile about a lot of stuff in life. I lie about that. I do. I don't smile about a lot of stuff in sports life. Let's put it that way. Every now and then you get something that happens and you say, yeah, it's about time this happens for your team or a team that you root for. As I like to say, aficionados or, enthusiasts per se. But big trade happened the other day. Giannis lands in Miami. Now, we talked about this last week, James, about the potential of where Giannis could go. Where would he land? Who would it be? We had a couple of interesting topics. You know how I felt about the issue. I didn't think it was going to happen because it just don't happen. It just don't happen for Miami. 10 to 15 years of, it's going to happen. And then it doesn't happen. And now it happens. So I'll go to you first, my friend. What is your one sentence on Giannis heading to Miami?
My one sentence would be Pat's last hurrah. Pat Riley got it done, man. I mean, as you said, over the years, we've heard rumor after rumor from Kevin Durant to Kyrie Irving to almost every superstar that's been on the move. It seems that they've always been linked to the Miami Heat. And, after we've seen them come and go. And at each point, the Heats have been left sitting there wondering, hey, what could have been? What could we have given up? What could we have done? And this time, I guess Pat put his foot down. He said, you know what? Look, this might be my last chance to put together a title team here in Miami, and I'm going all in. And he was able to land Giannis Antetokounmpo. He stays in the Eastern Conference, as we predicted he probably would last week. I mean, Miami gave up a haul to get him, but if it pans out, if it gets you a championship, it's worth it. I mean, I know you gave up a lot of depth and some key pieces in Khalil Ware and Tyler Hero, but like I said, if Giannis hits and he lands in Miami and helps bring another championship to Miami, it's all worth it, man. In the end, just gotta wait and see what happens at this point.
It's 100% true. I know Giannis is just entering into his 30s. I think he's 31, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that, but I know he's in the lower 30s. Let's put it that way.
Still in his prime.
Yeah, it's still in his prime. I mean, I there's a part of me that says it's a 3 to 4 year window of how to try to figure this thing out in Miami. So my one sentence would be, thank you, Pat. Thank you. And I'll add, finally. It's about time, man. Look, it's been a long run. You said it yourself. We've seen it over the years where it's like, oh, yeah, Miami's going to get this person. I've heard everybody. Every superstar that's been up for an option since the time LeBron James has left. It's been the same way. It's been the exact same way. So finally it comes through, and Miami gets their big guy. So the lineup right now, you got Bam, you got him, You got Wiggins, who I almost forgot was on the team for a minute. I was like, oh, okay, we still got Wiggins. Wiggins is an NBA champion. He knows how to win. He's been a really solid NBA player for a long time. I'll give him that. You got what's my boy name? You got Norman Powell at the moment. You have Powell, and then of course you got Davion Mitchell. So that's the lineup. But like we discussed, where's a guy I really didn't want to give up? Jimenez is a guy that I wouldn't want to give up. Tyler Hero, he could have been gone. Could have left 2-3 years ago. I would have been. And I love Hero, but the man's always hurt. And I was just like, yeah, I would have been good, one way or the other. Justin Brown says, point forward, Bam, Miami Jokic.
Nah, I don't think there's nothing left for you. I don't think there's nothing left to go ahead and get Jokic. He gonna ride his days out in Denver.
No, man, look, I'm telling you, man, it'll be interesting to kind of see, where it plays from here. And they don't need no more big men anyway. They need to go 3 and Ds and point guards, whatever. So we'll see.
Wings, guards, yeah.
We'll see. I mean, LeBron is that semi rumor I've been hearing. I still don't know 100% how I feel about that. But if he's,
you got to think that's a double package. That's gonna be Bron and Bronny to Miami, and it's gonna be what I got to give up for that. And if you're the Lakers, do you have to send a second back to Miami for the Heat to be willing to take Bronny? That's a package deal, in my opinion. If LeBron moves wherever he goes, if he's traded, I feel like it's a package deal. It's like, hey, you do get LeBron, but you got to take Bronny. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to take this too.
You got to take them with you. We got to get picks. I think that would be the biggest thing. You got to get some. We gave away quite a bit of picks there to Milwaukee, even though it's a couple 5 years from now, but still they're picks. And Miami has done that in the past. Like when LeBron was there, they traded everybody in the mama just to make LeBron happy, and he left. I was hot.
Shabazz Napier traded all
that stuff. And then they left us hanging, and then I'm like, bro, so we had to go and do all these moves, and now we ain't got no picks for the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah, it was a little bit of a tough time. So he could come back and make up for it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Giannis lands in Miami, and the Heat still got to figure things out. They only think they got 7 or 8 players on the roster at the moment, so they still got to figure out some spots. Need to bring in some shooters. We'll see what they do in Miami. Speaking of one sentence and continuing on one sentence, our next one. This was one that happened this morning. LaMelo Ball lands in Minnesota. Now, LaMelo Ball, who's had some injuries here and there over the last couple of years, but these last 2 years, he's been in a really good place. Last year especially, almost got Charlotte into the main playoffs, if you like to call it. And, he has really grown as a player in his year. He's been the better Ball, which, our man LeVar Ball said that he was going to be the best out of the 3. He's done just that. And so, you see all of that, see him do well. You're like, all right, cool. I want to get the one sentence from you. LaMelo Ball to the Wolves. Is it enough to help Anthony Edwards get to where they need to be?
So my one sentence, last-ditch effort. I feel like this trade, it definitely helps the Wolves from an offensive standpoint. We've seen at times over the season and definitely in the postseason where if Anthony Edwards isn't cooking for this team, then the whole team kind of goes flat. LaMelo Ball is a guy that can create offense, whether it's through his passes, through him facilitating, or he can get his own shot. He can score at the rim. He can score from deep, from the 3 ball. He can score mid-range. I mean, however it needs to get done, he can fill it up, man. And I feel like at this point, you pair him with Anthony Edwards and allow them to play off each other, they can kind of pick and choose their spots of when to take over, or if somebody needs a breather, the other person can step up and help on the offensive side. Yes, you gave up Julius Randle in a trade to the Nets. And yes, you had to make some things shake, giving up Naz Reid and a couple picks, to make this trade happen with LaMelo Ball. But I still feel like the Wolves have enough pieces around and at this point to still contend in the West and hopefully make another playoff push. I mean, you still have LaMelo, you have Ant now. You have LaMelo now, you still have Ant. You still got Ayo Dosunmu, who they just paid. You have still Rudy Gobert down low, the kid they drafted last year, Juan Behringer. You still got Jaden McDaniels. So there's still core pieces on this team that can really help this roster going forward. And I believe, they probably added a few players in the draft or, undrafted free agents that can still come in. And free agency is still on the way. They might still have some money and some things they can play around with to add to this roster, but adding LaMelo Ball gives you another offensive weapon that you can use to spell Anthony Edwards at times.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're a Minnesota fan, and especially after the graphic that we saw the other day or about a week ago after the championship, you leave Minnesota and championships come your way. So many stars have left, and and big stars in Minnesota
KG,
have
Cat,
left. Kevin
Wiggins,
Love. I mean, they've
Kevin
all
Love.
and won championships.
Yeah.
It's a really tough deal if you're a Wolves fan to see something like that. My one sentence is there enough ball to go around? My thing is this. I mean, you got two ball dominated guys. That I think if they obviously they could learn to play together in this game of basketball, man, like especially in this age of basketball, you really have to think about who is going to be the one that takes a step back, because somebody is going to have to take a step back out of those two, because in both teams these guys were the end all be all. Even when Cat was there, it was still Anthony Edwards during that time frame. In the last couple of years, it's still been Anthony. He's been the go-to. LaMelo's been everything Charlotte. Anything that if you were becoming a Charlotte fan or starting to like what Charlotte was doing, it's because of LaMelo Ball. They had some really good players down there. That did some good things along the way. So the question is, will they have enough or be able to say, hey, look, tonight's your night? Or, you see one going, are you okay with cooling off and being the person that helped push it along? And that's going to be a big thing. And like you said, also just being able to get the pieces to the puzzle to try to keep things going. So that'll be another key piece, like with free agency going along. But I don't think there's a lot of people that think it's just going to be a disaster. I don't think that. But I am intrigued to see how they go with everything.
I mean, definitely, man. It's definitely gonna be an interesting season for Minnesota. Again, you've made the playoffs at this point. You know that you're a contender for that spot. You need to see if you can kick it up a notch, because ever since they made it to the Western Conference Finals and lost that year to Dallas, they haven't made it back. They haven't been the same type of team. And you have to do something before Anthony Edwards decides to deuce them out and either try to make it back to Atlanta or go elsewhere. And I feel like this is their front office, this is their team trying to do that, trying to show, and hey, look, we can still build around you in Minnesota. We can help you win here. And LaMelo Ball, like you said, he's the best of the Ball brothers so far. His offensive ability, it definitely is what they need. Now, granted, he's not the best defender, but you have other pieces, other players for that. I feel like that's a role you have Ayo Dosunmu, Jaden McDaniels for, where those guys can step up, Rudy Gobert, and help with that end. You need him basically to come in and spell Ant or help Ant facilitate or play off of Anthony Edwards, or have Anthony Edwards play off of him. However you choose to run it, whatever's best for your offense, that's what he's there for. That's his purpose now going to Minnesota, to be an offensive weapon to help the Wolves win.
Look, on paper, this is a great 1-2 combo. I mean, if you're a Wolves fan, you're going to get entertained. If they're healthy, this is a really nice combo to have on your team. It's all about, will it work? Could it work? And I think it can. It's just who is, I guess, the dynamic and how they kind of, how their relationship is built, because that's also a big thing about these type of things. We've seen a lot of big names come together at times and they don't work, where the relationships, even the people we thought were the coolest, we saw it in Brooklyn a lot. And you see what Brooklyn is at right now because of all those. At least you got to give Brooklyn a B for trying. You got to at least give Brooklyn a B for trying in the effort. And it just didn't. It didn't pan out. I mean, they tried, but it didn't pan out. Now they're
Lonzo is a free agent. Lonzo Ball plays defense. You need another defender.
I mean, why
You're
not?
going to get Lonzo. Lonzo can facilitate, play defense. And LeVar always said, look, if my boys got together, it'd be a hell of a thing for whoever picks them up. Maybe we see that now in Minnesota. I know there was rumor of it last year at the trade deadline that, hey, the Hornets are trying to get Lonzo from Cleveland, or the Hornets are trying to find a way to pair Lonzo and LaMelo. Maybe the Wolves find a way to get that done. Maybe Lonzo's able to stay healthy. He's motivated, playing with his brother. Maybe LaMelo stays healthy, motivated, playing with his brother. And you can do some magic in the Twin Cities. So, we'll see what happens, man. I know if they do find a way to get Lonzo, you got to find a way to get LeVar Ball courtside seats.
Yeah, never lost. Never lost.
You got to find a way to get LeVar courtside seats if they get Lonzo.
Man, look, LeVar, you say what you want about LeVar Ball. I've always said that I thought he was a great father. No matter what you can say, the man did what he said he was going to do. He put his kids, every parent wants to do that, is put their kids in great position. You can never say that man didn't put his kids in a great position. I did hate to hear that him and his wife are getting divorced, but things happen. That's 30 years in the game, and they've raised 3 successful kids. Even my man, you want to swear on that corner? Whoa. I saw Jello live in Detroit 2 years ago. Not even know I was gonna see Jello live. I'm like, who's here today? Who's performing at halftime? They said Jello. Oh, for real. They come to find out it wasn't even halftime. It was the end of the first quarter. I was cracking up. I'm like, they didn't even give my man halftime? They gave him the middle. Okay, cool. But they were swerving.
Hey, look, Jello's picking and choosing the spots. He's still finding his way. He'll be all right.
He was swerving on that corner, though. Anyway, let's head to our next one sentence, and let's talk about the Washington Wizards. The last time the Washington Wizards had the number 1 pick of the draft, they drafted John Wall. We know the success that John Wall had in Washington and how important he became to that franchise. Unfortunately, the Wizards didn't get as far as they would like to have gotten with John Wall there, but he is still a staple in the city. The people love him. Now, the funny thing about this, after AJ got drafted by the Wizards, or before AJ got drafted by the Wizards, there was talk from John Wall. He thought they should have went with Peterson. He thought Peterson's style would work with the players that they have already a little bit better. So I thought that was a very interesting take. I don't think he would be upset that they drafted AJ, but I thought that he felt like that's the better fit. And him and Kendrick Perkins even said that they was not comparing him to Kobe, but they said they feel like if Peterson did his thing, he could have Kobe potential, which is still a big task at hand for a young man to get called out. But that's still high praise from 2 former players. With all that being said, what is your one sentence on AJ DeBosta? I hate saying his name.
DeBosta.
I hate saying his name. I'm gonna get it right at some point. What are your thoughts on AJ getting drafted by the Wizards? The one sentence and all that fun stuff. Yeah, that's
my one sentence would be core piece to the puzzle. Bringing in AJ DeBosta, drafted number 1 overall, I believe, is a franchise cornerstone for the Washington Wizards. We saw last year they went out, they traded for Anthony Davis, they traded for Trae Young from Atlanta. They just re-signed Trae Young. They intend to sign Trae Young to a new deal that locks them in Washington for the next 3-4 seasons. I feel like DeBosta can be that key piece where, he's the future of the franchise. He's the cornerstone. He's what you're building upon. So you'll have Trae Young, you'll have DeBosta, you'll have Anthony Davis, and you'll still have Alex Sarr and some of the other pieces that they've built and brought along the way. But DeBonta is going to be that key cornerstone piece where if he develops into that star, that superstar player, that's what's going to carry this franchise, especially with the injury history we know that Anthony Davis and Trae Young both have. So DeBosta is going to be the guy where he can come in. He doesn't necessarily have to star right away because you have Anthony Davis and Trae Young, but you can bring him along. You can help get him acclimated to the NBA lifestyle and playing at this level, getting him incorporated into the offense. He doesn't have to be the number 1 option right away, but that's what you've drafted him for. That's what you're building him up to be. And I feel like, Washington's a good spot for that. They haven't had a star, honestly, since John Wall left, if we're being honest. And so now this is a guy who can come in, seems like he wants to be there. He wants to be a part of Washington. He wants to be a part of the Wizards. He wants to win. And, while they didn't go all the way at BYU, I mean, he brought the most hype to BYU that we've seen since Jimmer Fredette. So, I'm all in for it. I can't wait to see what happens. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah. Jimmy Fredette reference. Shout out to Jimmy Fredette. I mean, we can't forget how Jimmy was out here giving people the business from like 87 feet. In the early Steph Curry days too. Like it was like Steph was just starting to get hot from there, and Jimmy was out here giving people work. So yeah, I still baffled. I don't know how much money BYU had to pay to get my man in there, but they did. So so my one sentence is OKC East loading. I think we, when Washington brought in Dawkins, the GM from OKC, the vision was we want to be able to have the success that OKC is having, through drafting, through whatever, and finding the right pieces. Now Dawkins was in this, was a part of that team for a while. And so he knows how to run the organization. Now, initially, people were like, "Oh, I don't know if this is going out well," but look, the last couple of years, they've had a really good draft. The last couple of years, they found pieces it's like they've been the right pieces to the puzzle. You got Starr and Covington, again Covington, Carrington. You got those guys who've done really well there. I mean, there's other pieces as well. But what I like is they finally get the number one pick. Everybody thought it was gonna be Cooper Flag last year, but they end up getting Starr this year. You go around and now you get the number one pick of the draft. Finally, Wizards fans were disappointed last year, and I like what they got set up. And I think they may not be done yet. I mean, we know that the Anthony Davis is the key piece to all this. And if it was me, I'd trade him. I would not keep him there. If you can get something for him, maybe more draft picks, even a younger player, I would trade him. I know that.
Darrell, are you ready to get into the docket?
Yes. let's go. I'm ready.
Let's just go ahead and go, and we'll discuss case number one for this week. Expectations for linebacker Trenton Simpson is our first case up this week. Our second case is Calais Campbell's impact on the team. What will be the impact that he will have, if any? Speaking of impact, case number 3 on the docket for this week is Coach Anthony Weaver's impact on the team. And case number 4, just how good is this Ravens pass rush? So we can go ahead and get into it. Let's not wait any further. Case number 1. So Ravens flock, we noticed you all enjoyed the clips on Bowie TV of Trenton Simpson. So we said, hey, this must be a big year potentially for the linebacker. Darrell, I'll turn it over to you for your opening statement on case number 1.
Trenton Simpson. That's the buzz is buzzing. Everybody seems to be very excited about Trenton Simpson, including Roquan Smith. It's this thing where he's finally getting adjusted to being in this position. He kind of had to grow into this position. We saw 2 years ago he started 13 games. Last year only 6, but he did play in all 17 games. But I think they're looking for a bigger role from him this year. And I think with Simpson, it's going to be very critical for him to continue to grow. Listen to everything that Coach Weaver and that squad have in for him, and continue to grow and learn from Roquan Smith. I think that's going to be very critical as well. Smith has been such a great player in this league for a long time, but there's a lot of buzz, around him, and that this could be a really big breakout year for him.
So, Darrell, we can probably go right into deliberations. I agree with everything that you shared in your opening statement on expectations for linebacker Trenton Simpson. Speaking of Roquan Smith, Roquan was asked about Trenton Simpson. You all check out this clip here.
Have you seen Trenton Simpson grow as you've worked with him over the years, and what are you expecting out of him this season?
I think no one have more expectations of themselves than Trent, first and foremost. And the way the guy's been working, this is the best I've seen him since I've been around. And, it's the first year he's had the same position coach. And, whereas, the material and the terminology is, the same person's teaching it to him. So I think that plays a big part, especially when you're a young player transitioning into a new position, because truth be told, when he first came here, that was truly his first time really playing inside linebacker. But obviously this game don't wait for anyone, and he's well aware of that as well. But I know he's preparing and he has the right mindset. He's not making the mistakes that he's made in the past. And even if he do make a mistake, which we all do as human beings, he's not making those same mistakes twice. So I'm very excited for where he's going to go. And I think it's a big year for him, a contract year. And I think he knows that. And it's a contract year for the defense as well. Every year is. So just got to think about it like that and go from there. But I'm very excited for him.
I mean, what in just overall kind of kudos for someone like Roquan Smith to say all that he said about Trenton Simpson. Darrell, I have to ask, since you've been there, what have you seen in practices so far from Trenton?
I mean, look, so far, I know it's a theme and I keep saying it, but it's been high energy. Like all the practices have been really high energy, but I think you can definitely see where he's grown in his game. And everything that Roquan Smith is 100% correct. He seems to be really getting a feel for it in the drill that we showed just a few minutes ago. You can see the balance, you can see the turns, the twists, and he's really getting a hold of the position. And like with the praise coming from Roquan Smith, and for him to say this is the best he's ever seen him, that's a lot to say. So it's a really big thing for him to say. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the role this year. And the other factor that he brought up is a contract year. Everybody wants to make that big money. And if he ends up making the big money out of if it's the Ravens paying him or somebody else next year, he's gonna want to show up and show out. So what I've seen from him is somebody who's on a high alert and understands the position that he's in currently heading into this season.
I was going to ask you about that, Darrell. Like you said, buzzwords, contract year.
Yep.
So, which always helps, somewhat of an incentive, right? But I think maybe this was already some of the closing argument here. The verdict may already be in on the expectations for linebacker Trenton Simpson this year. Darrell, what is your verdict on the expectations for Simpson?
The verdict is they're extremely high. I mean, you're gonna have to go into this season uh, with a lot of expectations, not only for yourself but for the team. This team with a new head coach, with a new defensive coordinator. Now, all these guys, obviously, all the coordinators and the head coach have been there before, but it's a new expectation. And there's a lot of people that think this team can go to the Super Bowl. I know we talked about that last week. So not only do you have the expectation of yourself and trying to grow yourself and make sure that you're continuing to grow and getting better and get that contract, you also have the hopes and dreams of your teammates on your back. So it's the verdict is in for him. Like it's make or break this year for him because a bad season for him could spell obviously not getting a big contract, and who knows where he ends up next year.
And it sure does sound and look like he wants to continue being a Baltimore Raven. So the verdict is in. Expectations for Trenton Simpson very high. Ravens flock. If you haven't already, make sure you've liked and subscribed to Bowie TV, Fox Sports Radio, 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia, and you've placed your verdict down in the comments section so that we know what you all think as well. I think it's time for us, Darrell, to move to case number 2. Calais Campbell's impact on the team at 39 years old. Does it matter? Does it matter? Is he still going to have an impact on this team? So, Darrell, again, I'll turn it over to you for your opening statement on what you think Calais Campbell's impact will be on the team.
I'm going to say it like this. I believe it's going to be huge. There's a part of me that his energy just in the press conference, at OTA's first day, mandatory minicamp on the first day was, he's a guy who's here still hungry. There's nothing that has changed in that front. He told Coach Weaver, he said, look, I'm gonna do my best to give you 40 snaps a game. I'm out here to give you 40. I'm gonna be in condition to give you 40. Coach Weaver said, no, I don't need 40, just give me 30. If you can give me 30, we're gonna be okay. And so I think with that, he's already got higher expectations. The staff was like, you don't have to do all that. No, but I still want to do this. I think, being 18, going into year 19 of, your career, the guy, when he first came out of the league in 08, my child was just born. So my daughter's graduated. The man's been in the league a long time now. And so when you've been in the league 19 years, when you've put up the numbers that he's put up in the last 3 or 4 years for somebody of his age, and most of that time people are already retired. He hasn't missed a game. Since 2022. So you got 3 straight years of 17 games for a guy still producing, averaging 5 sacks, 5.5 sacks during that time frame. He's done a lot of really good stuff. So he's going to make an impact on this team. The one good thing that I think all of this, Candy, is what he talked about, the excitement of coming back into the building and seeing some of his teammates from a couple years ago and seeing the growth in his teammates from a couple of years ago. And he said he was very excited to see how everybody is doing, from Kyle Hamilton to Marlon Humphreys to Roquan Smith. And the biggest person that he shouted out was Nnamdi Madubuike. And obviously Madubuike has been hurt, due to injury and all that stuff like that. He's slowly coming back. But he told him, he said, "Hey man," he said, "you're getting big, man." And Madubuike was like, "Nah, man, this is what Calais was telling us, And he's just like, "Hey, no, he's really grown as a player," and he said he was so proud of him. So the impact even is going to be on the field, yes, most definitely. But I think it's what he's going to bring to the locker room and the respect that those players have for him. That's going to be huge, Candy. It's going to be an amazing thing for the Ravens to have such a class act on their team, former Walter Payton Man of the Year. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal to have him there.
And so going right into deliberations, and I'll probably just add in my few cents here to what Darrell has already said. It's kind of like you said, that veteran presence. Listen, this is mandatory camp now, but he's been there, and it's like just the overall presence and wanting to be there matters a lot. And I think we have a clip that we're getting ready to share when Calais mentioned to you all, to the media, that people ask him all the time why he keeps playing. So let's check out this clip here.
Why do you keep going? I mean, I know that's a lot of questions for a lot of people, especially a lot of people that played your position, that ask, why do you keep going?
I get probably asked that almost every day, from a bunch of players, coaches, staff, fans, my family. Everybody's just like, why do you keep doing this? And I think the only answer I can really say is that I love the game. I love it. I'm still fairly good at it, and they still want me to play. So it's like, why not? I'm healthy, and I love the game. So, there's definitely a time and a place. One day it's going to get taken from me. I'm going to have to retire. But, even today I was like, man, I get to go out there on the field, put my helmet on. It's a good feeling. And so, I'm going to enjoy it as long as I can. At least, I think this year will be a great year for me to enjoy it. And this is a great environment, this, a top-flight organization. Teammates I have a lot of admiration for, great coaching staff. So, I'm feeling really good about this year.
I've been asked this before, but do you go into this season thinking it could be your last, or this is the last?
Yeah, no. I always tell myself, in this year I feel like, as strongly as ever, that this is probably gonna be my last year. I know I said that last year and the year before, but I genuinely mean it at the time. But I always tell myself to play well enough to be able to get a job again if I want to. So if I go out there and perform to the level I want to play, then I'm probably going to have to turn somebody down next year. And that's the ideal scenario. If I can have a chance to play well enough where they want me again next year, and I got to tell them no. And then at that time, we'll decide if there's, if I want to play again or not. But as of right now, I'm playing this year as if it's my last year.
I would have to think, Darrell, that this is also just a testament to, the other players on what your career could be. Like,
right.
It's almost like, who do you want to be when you grow up? Like that.
I want to be Calais Campbell. Like,
right.
Calais don't miss games, man.
And the Baltimore Ravens is an amazing organization. Like you just said, top flight organization from top to bottom. Like an amazing organization. For them to want him is quite the testament to the player and man that he is.
Yeah, 100%. If you're going to learn from somebody on that defensive line, why not learn from Calais Campbell? I'm just saying, like, this guy's a future Hall of Famer. And, he's been there before. He's spent 3 seasons in Baltimore before, very productive years when he was there. And like I said, it's the leadership that he brings. It's the mentorship that he's going to bring to some of the younger players. it's like having another coach out there, but he's right there beside you on the field making things happen. So it was just a joy today to kind of just sit there and listen to Calais talk, and really just kind of get a feel for what Calais, wants to bring to the table and wants to bring to the Ravens organization. The love of the game is in his eyes. You can see it in the clip. The love of the game is in his eyes. Like, why would you not want that from any player? So hopefully, if you're a Ravens fan, the flock out there, you got to hope that all that energy that Calais got rubs off on every single player on that defense and on the offense as well, but definitely on that defense.
So, Darrell, I think it is probably safe to say that the verdict is in on Calais Campbell's impact on the team. Will he even have an impact? Your thoughts there? What is the verdict?
The verdict for me is it's going to be an impact on multiple fronts. Definitely, I think he's still going to be able to do some good things on the field because he's still producing. He's doing better than some people that have been in the league 7, 8, 9 years. Like I said, 8 and 9 going into his 19th season, he's still going to make an impact on the field, even if it is just 30 snaps a game. In those 30 snaps, you're going to get one of the best players of all time coming at you in different ways. And then, like I said, I think the biggest impact really, though, is what he's going to do for those players who are still growing in their game. Even some of them, like, the Kyle Hamiltons and the Roquan Smith and those guys, the Matabikes, those guys who have, been in the league and made some Pro Bowls or whatever. But to see a consistent pro who's done it for so long and being able to see that every week, I mean, you can't beat that. So I think it's on two fronts, and he's going to make a big impact on this team. It may not look big at some points on the field, but off the field, that's where the impact, I think, is going to be the most.
All right. Well, Ravens flock, the verdict has been in. You've heard it right here. Bowie TV, Fox Sports Radio, 1340 Hope, West Virginia. We're going to get a gavel.
We're going to get a gavel. At least get the gavel sound.
The gavel sound or something. Be excited. If you weren't already, hopefully the clip and anything else you've seen from coverage on Calais Campbell has helped you be excited about Calais Campbell being a part of the Ravens flock yet again, because absolutely 100% should have an amazing impact on this team, which then leads us to case number 3. Someone else who is coming back to the Ravens organization, Coach Anthony Weaver's impact on the team. So I know this has been a topic of conversation because it is known that head coach Jesse Minter will be the one calling the defensive plays. What does that mean overall for Coach Anthony Weaver's impact on the team? We can go ahead and get into the opening statement. Darrell, what are your thoughts?
For me, yes, he may not be calling the plays, but he's still going to be in the trenches with these young men. And I think from what I've been hearing from players, there's an excitement around Coach Weaver being there. Obviously meant to be in there because of all the tricks of the trade and the way his defense goes. But I think a lot of players, especially people that have been there for a while and were there when Anthony Weaver was there the first time, I really think that his impact is also going to be felt no matter what, even without him calling plays. Because you can already kind of see, you see him out there working with the guys. You see him out there, giving them as much knowledge as possible. He's out there with the players, digging in. And for me, I think his impact is going to be huge. And a lot of players have sung that sentiment so far. You hear them talking about how much they like how much they like things with Coach Weaver so far. The vibe has been really good with Coach Weaver so far. So for me, I think his impact is going to be just as important as Minter's, even though he's not making, won't be calling the plays.
So we can probably move right on into deliberations because, again, to your point, Darrell, it was been obvious to me the times I have been out there that Coach Weaver understands the need for the Ravens defense to be one that is feared because it once was. And he already knows what that looks like, what it takes, and has already been very open about getting the Ravens defense back to that. And with that, with you all speaking with Calais Campbell, he talked with you all about Coach Weaver today as well. So let's play that clip.
Here originally, and then both of you in Miami, and now coming back as well here in Baltimore again. How have you seen him grow alongside of him growing a defense as well?
Yeah, I think that Weaver's probably my favorite coach. I say that, all the other coaches I had there are great coaches. I love you guys too, but Weaver's been my favorite coach, and the reason is he's just, he's really good at connecting with the guys, and we have a great relationship. And I feel like, he will one day as well be a phenomenal head coach when opportunity comes for him. But, he's probably the main reason why I came back here, just, having a conversation with him and, being able to, try to help him have success so that he can get, where he wants to go, is something that I take great pride in. And, hopefully, I can do my part to help him. But, I think at the end of the day, he's the first one to say he just wants to win, just wants to be part of something great, and me too, same mindset, same mentality, but he's really helped my career, helped me have longevity, and just believing in me as well, which gives more confidence, right? Because, you get older, every year you're kind of like, can I still do this? Like it's the back of your mind, like, all right, can I still go out there and dominate a game, and then when he comes in and he shows that kind of belief and he sees, where I practice and he, kind of like, it's like, man, I'm expecting a lot out of you, you're like, okay, let me rise to the occasion, let me go give him what I got, and I think it's helped me have success later in my career. But, my all-time favorite coach.
That's saying a lot.
That's high praise. All-time favorite coach. That's high praise.
It's high praise. And so, Darrell, since you've been out there, what have you observed or seen from Coach Anthony Weaver, his interaction overall with the other coaches as well as the players?
Well, I think one big thing from all of this, I will say, and I'll segue into the other part. And all these coaches have, the main coaches have been a Raven or been a part of the Raven organization at one point.
So you can use your clues and start to really dissect when we talk about depth, who we're talking about, right? And so it's interesting to just see, because when you think about, okay, the depth piece of it, these are for sure people who are like, they're trying to make the roster.
Mm-hmm.
From a defense perspective, or offense perspective, they are trying to make this roster. Already, they're looking at what they have in June, and I had not seen that approach in this way on the field in the past 2 years in this regime. Haven't seen it in this way. So it was interesting to see. You mentioned the wide receiver group, and you talk about, let's just put it out there, right? Like a Van Jefferson, a De'Ami Brown, a Luke McCaffrey, a Jalen Lane. You know, Jalen Lane is also your punt returner, so he has a spot.
Right.
So everybody, you're going to use your clues your whole time, so don't miss anything I'm saying. So then it's like Van, De'Ami, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is very interesting. And I'm going to keep, because then you say, when you're looking at returns, who are some of the other people that do returns? Well, like I've been sharing, we all know Jalen Lane does returns. We've seen Mikey take a shot at doing returns. I keep saying Antonio Williams can do returns. I keep saying I've also seen Traylon Burks do returns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm counting how many people I just named. 4. And then, you know, Luke McCaffrey been back there doing returns. But 2 of those 3 people I didn't name.
Mm-hmm.
Van, De'Ami. Coach Quinn talked about who's really stood out to him. I told you all who had really stood out.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned Van
and De'Ami.
So everybody start write it down if you need to. Okay, because I'm telling you, without telling you, you know, observations between who's doing returns. Who Chris Hilton is somebody else that was depth, you know, looking at the depth.
Mm-hmm.
You can notice who I didn't name in terms of who was looking at the depth. Let me help y'all out. In terms of who we're looking at from a depth perspective, Chris Hilton was one, right? Jalen Lane, but we know Jalen is a returner, a punt returner. He can also do kick returns. Coach Izzo told me last week. I hope you all checked out the interviews on Bowie TV that I did last week with the offensive coaches, the defensive coaches, and with Coach Izzo. So Coach Izzo definitely made it clear, you know, Jalen can do kick return too. Okay, he did throw that in there. And we talked about Luke at returns and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to just say it. There's some people I didn't name in terms of the depth. Chris Hilton was one. Jalen Lane was another. Van Jefferson was another. De'Ami Brown was another. Luke McCaffrey was another. So whoever I didn't name.
Hey, so I'm going to ask you this question, right? Before we get a little bit deeper, right? You mentioned earlier Dan Quinn made a point to flip the script today in practice, right? Giving the reps to, I don't want to say the bottom of the roster guys, but the guys who are trying to make this roster, right? I'm gonna say what you can't say, right? The bottom of the roster guys this week. Who among them, right, besides the 2 that you named, right, look like they belong with the starting group?
See, that's a big jump. That's a big jump.
Oh, let me say starting group. Who look like they belong on this roster with this team. And I know it's day 1, right? It's day 1 of minicamp. We haven't even gotten to official training camp yet, and every day is going to be different. But as of today, who look like, you know what, I can see them playing with this team.
I mean, and Paul, I don't think everybody caught them names. I dropped a whole lot of dimes right there in that use your clues. I hope that nobody catch it. Y'all might have to go back and listen to me in slow motion or go pull the transcript. And so I'm gonna be honest. I see why they did that. Because somebody has to do like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent did have a couple plays, but this goes back to depth, right?
Right.
So Vincent for sure has some plays out there. I mean, hey, and these are moments where this is where you make the roster. So like Fred Davis Jr. made an outstanding play. Everybody was talking about it, but he made a play. He made a play. We saw Lawrence Cager make a great play. Then he turned around and did not. So can't give you what I would want to, but you know, in terms of like linebacker depth, who are we looking at linebacker depth? We were looking at Ale and Kane and Jordan. All right. Who I don't know. Yes, Cager the tight end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cager the tight end, yeah. Javonte from a depth perspective, okay. I just named 3 of the 2024 class. And somebody I didn't name yet in the 2024 class, they might be all right. They might be coming back for their starting job. And that's Brandon Coleman. He come back for his starting job. I told y'all, keep your eye on that left guard. Keep your eye out there.
It is a competition. I think we all know that it's going to be a competition at that spot.
Keep your eyes on it.
And the best guy is going to win because, you know, Coleman don't want to sit there. He had the taste of being a starter in 2024. Chris Paul elevated last year to that next level. And now you have, and a lot of the Chris Paul elevation is because who he's playing beside, in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. Who he's playing beside on the left side. Larry Tunsil has pulled Chris Paul to another level and helped Chris Paul get to another level. We know Chris Paul is back with his organization because he tried to go out there and test the free market. In my opinion, the money wasn't there. And so he came back home to Washington, and they found a spot for him. But Brandon Coleman said, I need my spot back, basically. It's good competition there. I want to stay on the wide receivers real quick, Candy. Or no, I want to go back to Ben Stennett. You said something about Ben Stennett, and I had to go back to Quan Martin's interview, what Quan Martin said today about Ben Stennett. Quan Martin said this. He said Stennett can run routes like a true wide receiver, right? He also has some versatility that he splits out a little bit as a tight end or H-back, or you may see him split out a wide receiver. Martin was given a little bit of nuggets today, so I guess 7-on-7 was very competitive.
Well, see, they did team drills, and yes, it was I mean, that's the depth. They know what it is. If y'all get more reps, if this is the group that's getting the more reps, and let me also, there was reps going on both fields, right, where the head coach, follow me. There was reps going on both fields. I could still see. Many of us could still absolutely see what was going on in the other field, and we could have walked over there. But since I could see, I said, I'm going to stay put. Mm-hmm. I want to see what's happening right here. And the reason why I want to see what's happening right here on the main stage field is because that is where Dan